This thing right up here is an absolute superpower for all of us because what we dominantly reside within up here creates the reality that we experience. But what do we dominantly reside in up here? Funnily enough, and I don't really know why we do it as humans, but often up here, we're arguing with people about things that we don't want to experience. It might not even necessarily be something that is actually true right now or something that is actually really even in the pipeline. But for some reason up here, we like to just argue with people. We like to create silly scenarios where we're having an argument with them. Some people like to have full-on fights in their head with people that they have no reason to be fighting with. But what we reside within up here creates out there, right? So when you're arguing with people in your mind, what do you think that's doing externally? This is something that so many of us experience that pushes our specific person away. I can't tell you the amount of just stories that I've heard from people. Even recently in my comment section, I've had a few people telling me how they're just in their head, they're arguing, they're mad at them, they're sending them like mean messages because how they've hurt them. And they're just up here, they're going through it with their specific person. And then wondering why their specific person doesn't show up for them. So what we need to be doing, whether you do it unconsciously or consciously, we need to be aware of the kind of conversations that we are having up here with our specific people. And even if you're in a relatively good mind space, I can guarantee you're having the odd little mini argument, even for no reason. And I know that because I do it myself as well. Every now and then, I'll catch myself having an argument with Katie in my mind about something that isn't even relevant. Like, for example, I may have tidied up the house while she's gone, and then in my head, I'll find myself having an argument about how she hasn't noticed it and she hasn't said anything. And then I'm like, well, what was the point? Blah, blah, blah. Stupid arguments. I don't care if she notices it or not, like in reality. So why in my head am I arguing about it? I don't do it to get her gratification or validation. But up here, for some reason, I'm arguing with her about not giving me that gratification or validation. So even I, someone who has been in a healthy relationship for a very long time, speaks on manifestation, has the odd argument in my head. So I can put money on the fact that many of you trying to manifest your people, so right now not maybe in the greatest of circumstances, are probably having those arguments in your head about how they hurt you or about how you deserve the job or how about that stupid lawyer decided that they needed to do something else instead of work with you when you lost the case, or that realtor screwed up your investment on that property. Whatever your desire is, chances are you're probably having a few arguments with those people involved up here. So what we're going to want to do going forward is understand, like I said, your awareness, what you have going on up here, your thoughts, your perspectives, your feelings, all that kind of stuff, is creating your reality. So those seamlessly harmless arguments, that was kind of tricky to say, those seamlessly harmless arguments aren't as harmless as you may think, because they're ending up creating something in your external reality that you don't want to experience. And then it kind of perpetuates itself because you get a little bit of gratification by arguing with them in your mind because they didn't do what you want them to do or because they haven't done what you want them to do. And then it creates more. And then you argue with them because you're giving them the what for, and then it creates more. So what we need to do from this moment forward, break that cycle. Become conscious of your thoughts, of the arguments, of the discussions you are having with people in your mind. And either A, cut out the ones that are not benefiting you, or turn them into positive conversations. Simple fix as that. If you find yourself having a go at your specific person because they haven't apologized and they need to know how much they've hurt you, in that moment, just stop that conversation and go, you know what? Thank you for apologizing. Now we can go forward better than ever. There you go. That's literally just flipping that conversation. And the more that you continue to do those kinds of conversations in your mind, having conversations with them as opposed to arguments with them, the more that you're going to be creating things based off of those conversations. Just because it's a non-factual scene doesn't mean that it isn't showing your subconscious mind something to push out. Your subconscious mind doesn't know what is and isn't real. It only knows what you are showing it through your awareness, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, and such things like that. So if in your mind you're having a fake argument, your subconscious mind is taking that in as a real argument. Therefore, it goes, there's hostility, there's no apology, there's pain, there's heartbreak, there's this, and this, pushes it out for you to experience. So from this moment forward, put in absolute maximum effort to make the unconscious thoughts that you are having as conscious as possible, and direct those conversations that you're having with people in your mind. Just stop arguing with them is basically what I'm trying to get at. Stop trying to give them the what for in your mind, because that does two things. First off, keeps them at bay. If you were to consider it, let's just put it into a different kind of way just to see if it helps get my point across. Let's assume that everything was based off of a magnetic energy. So instead of like the subconscious mind pushing out what you experience, let's just say everybody walked around, giving off an aura. The argument is creating the aura of hostility. Do you think that someone would want to enter that kind of aura? If we could physically see it, those films where they've got like numbers on their heads and it shows how long until they're going to die, just like that kind of thing. And we could see the physical aura of people. Red's really bad, green's really good. And you walked past someone and they had a flaming red aura and it was targeted at you. Do you think you would enter it? Probably not. You'd be an absolute nutcase to enter it. But that's essentially the process of manifestation when it comes to the subconscious mind's impression. You're impressing your subconscious mind with all of this anger, hostility, whatever the argument is about, and then going, but I affirm the rest of the time, so why are they not here? Well, look at the kind of conversation that you're having with them in your mind. Your subconscious mind is taking that in just as well. And do you think your subconscious mind is taking that in as a positive argument that's going to bring them the best version of them? More than likely not. So cut out the arguments. Either completely cut them out and just remove them from your mind, or guide them into something better. A loving conversation. Congratulations from your manager. Thanking the realtor for getting you that property. I don't know, being proud of your friends or having a good time with your friends. Whatever the instance is, whatever the argument is about, either completely cut it and remove it, or direct it to something positive. Or, furthermore, have conscious, lovely conversations with them. Why wait until you find yourself having those arguments already and then trying to scrabble your way back to a level playing field? Why not, when you're in a level playing field or in a positive state, have a conversation with them as though things are the way that you want them to be? In your imagination, anything is possible. So why not sit in your absolutely lovely Lamborghini, looking over at your amazing partner, talk about how much that you two are so happy that you've just bought this £1 million mansion, and just speak. There's no rules to these inner conversations. So why are you having arguments about things that aren't even true, or if they are true, are things of the past, when you could literally talk to them about anything if you could imagine it, you could talk about it. And imagine that. Enjoy the conversation while you're sat in your fancy supercar, driving to your massive mansion while your kids are in the back having a great time, or you've just heard from your manager that you're employee of the month and they're 10 times in your salary. These things are all possible up here. So why not engage in them? But yeah, I hope this helps. Stop the arguing, re-guide the arguments into something more positive, or just straight up have positive conversations from the get-go, because it really is holding you back. I posted a video last week. It was actually on the short, surprisingly enough, not the actual long form video, but I posted a video the other day about how what you think a specific person feels. And I had a couple of comments basically saying, well, they've hurt me, so I'm going to make sure that I think bad things about them. To each to their own. But this leads me to the second point that I forgot to actually mention earlier. But by having those negative conversations in your mind, you're holding on to resentment. And there's a lovely Stoic quote of holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies. When we have these arguments in our mind, yeah, they're picking up on those energies, but all it's doing is just keeping them away. You're the one that's truly suffering because of them. So keep that in mind. Not only does it keep them away, ergo stopping you from getting your manifestation, but you're the one that gets hurt by it. So stop with the arguments. But thank you so much for watching. I really hope this has helped. I hope it's kind of given you the kick in the ass necessary. Perfectly normal to have these things. Like I said, I'm in a healthy, happy relationship, and I'll still find myself arguing with Katie in my mind every now and then about shit that isn't even relevant to our lives. Like I said, I don't care if she doesn't notice that I didn't clean the house. The house needs to be cleaned. I'm doing it because it needs to be done, not so that she'll be like, good boy, Matthew. And yet my mind is still doing that up here. So don't beat yourself up over these arguments. Just make sure to guide them to something much better for your situation. But thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you lovely people in the next one. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and be sure to click the bell icon, which is I think about there for you guys. Like and comment, because it pushes it out in the algorithm for more people to hear this valuable message. And if you do need any one-to-one help, down in the description is all the links to my services. But thank you so much for watching.